In this video, I've got a real treat for you because I've got tips from Steve P. Young, who in my opinion is the #1 influencer in the entire mobile app space, and he's also a friend of mine, and he has had the #1 podcast, one of the top agencies about promoting mobile apps, one of the top everything. And I've interviewed him about one of the hardest things, how to make a fantastic and winning game app, maybe like a 6-figure app, 7-figure app, how to really win. And in this video, I've compiled Steve's tips that if you follow them, and I'll add some of my tips as well, you will make a fantastically successful app, even though it's incredibly difficult because there are millions of game apps out there. How do you stand out? So, what is the road to a 6-figure app? Most people, they ask, do I place ads? What do I do? Well, how much is an ad gonna make you out of free downloads, right? Like, it doesn't matter. #1 thing ever is retention, and especially for games, because games are brutal and people play one game, another game. If Android or Apple, if they see like you're playing a lot of they can monitor your engagement times, and if they see people are keeping your app, they're playing, they're opening every day, they are going to rank your app higher in App Store search. They're going to recommend you, and there's going to be a lot of signals about your app that is going to increase the chances of your app getting featured. And all the difficult keywords, game, adventure, shooting, running, whatever, become feasible to rank for if you are able to retain your users. Not to mention that when people play longer and more often, they're going to watch more ads, and they're going to recommend to friends. All those things are going to happen if you get retention for your app. So when you launch, before you launch, when you sleep at night, you have to obsess. Are people playing that game a lot? Do they love it? On a scale of 1 to 10, if they're average, if they say it's nice, you just failed. They've got to like love this thing. They've got to be a 9 or a 10. All right, that's the goal. If it's an average, if it's above average, it sounds good to you, but in the app world, that's a total fail. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. That's our ecosystem. We just have to make sure that we have the right expectations for our situation. The first tip Steve gives, and by the way, try his podcast, try his YouTube channel. It's all branded as App Masters. Wherever you search, on Google, on podcast, on YouTube, App Masters, you will find Steve Young, and he's interviewed the best of the best, like founders of multi-million-dollar apps, app businesses. He's even interviewed me twice. Besides that, he's got a wealth of advice, so I strongly recommend that you follow him because he is one of the most on-top people in the app space today. And what he recommends is that you actually hire people, not too expensively, very cheaply. You can hire people to literally watch them in person, or even if they do it at home, they can send you a video of watch them use your app. Don't show them how to use your app, watch them use your app, listen, don't interrupt them, listen to their feedback. If their feedback isn't out of this world feedback, you've got to go back to the drawing board, and often they'll tell you what's wrong. That's essentially part of your beta testing. Now, one exciting thing that a lot of people ask about is, how do I get my app featured? And Steve is a master. He's an app master. We knew that. Steve is a master of getting apps featured. His agency clients, I see all the time, they're featured in the app stores. One of the things you can do is not just pitch your app to the app store just by submitting it, but you can create an entire presentation why the app is great, and it can be one of the links you submit, like a YouTube link or something like that. Can be the YouTube link of your presentation can actually be one of the items that you submit to Apple when you submit your app. So you can always submit, resubmit, improve, resubmit, and after a while, creating a presentation actually is one of the pro tips of how Steve is able to get his clients featured in the App Store. So he doesn't just like, in a plain vanilla way submit his app to attempt to get featured. He actually spends time to really show why the app is so good, why he thinks that this is the next potential great feature, and that greatly increases App Store featuring your app. And if the App Store features your app, that's 10,000, 20, 30, 100,000 of downloads sometimes, depending on the app, depending on the situation, even time of year. But a lot of downloads can come at a really rapid pace if you get featured. And that's the pro tip, is to create a presentation, and that's how Steve is able to do it. So if you've tried to get featured and you have not been able to, that's one way to stand out. And by the way, when you get this flood of downloads, which really is only going to happen after you got this great app that has this incredible retention, and then when you get this spike in downloads, what it's going to do is it's going to help you rank in ASO, App Store Search, for the keywords like adventure, running, all the major keywords that are nearly impossible to rank for, but that spike in downloads will actually shoot you up through the searches. So you see how it all actually plays together if you execute the elements of the strategy correctly. You have to execute this well. If you don't execute it well, for example, the app doesn't retain. Well, not gonna engage people. They're not gonna feature you. All those things won't happen. Maybe you're wondering, like, why isn't it happening? Well, execution, quality of execution is really important here. And if you want to know where to go to promote, appstore.com/promote. Also, one extra pro tip: how Steve is able to get new apps. Doesn't have to be popular apps, new app launches, especially in major magazines like Mashable, Techcrunch, all those things. He's got a two-tier approach to approaching journalists. First of all, there's something called the exclusive. He approaches journalists and says, hey, we've got an app launch. I'm going to give you an exclusive opportunity to feature, write about this app. It's launching. No other journalist will get the story for 2 or 3 days, right? So it will make that journalist seem great. And so that journalist, we will think, jumps on this opportunity. But they don't quite jump on this opportunity because, well, there's a lot of people pitching and it's hard. So what does Steve do? This is where he's extra smart, and this is the extra strategy that pushes this over the top. What he does is he doesn't find, let's say, the most popular journalists on Techcrunch or Mashable, because those guys are too busy. What he does is he goes to techcrunch.com. There's a page for like all their journalists, and he contacts the new ones, the ones who are just hired, who are not as popular, who are not getting enough attention, who are not getting the stories, and he messages those guys, because those guys, they need stories. They can get you into Techcrunch. So contacting on LinkedIn, on their email, on social media, reaching out to the newer journalists that are writing for these gigantic publications. That is how Steve is able to get into those publications. So right now, you see exactly the extra mile he goes to get featured, get on the biggest industry publications for his clients. And these are clients who pay thousands of dollars, and this is tips that you're getting for free, essentially. So these are pro tips that pushes him over the top and gets him to succeed and get this accomplished versus 99% of everybody else, all the other app entrepreneurs who don't get this done. So this is really, really amazing strategy that he shared. Now, if you're new, how do you get downloads? Like on day one, right? That's the question a lot of app entrepreneurs have. Oh my God, like it's really hard. And it really is hard. Apps are not that new. They're not the new and shiny object. Nobody really wants to download a new app. So there's a couple of sites that Steve shared, usertesting.com, and if you have a game especially, toucharcade.com. Those are places where you can go and people will immediately download your app, use your app. Not only that, they'll give you feedback about your app so that you can go and improve your app and then resubmit and resubmit. Use this all the time. This is a great way to improve the app and also to get your initial little bit of users. And the people there, they'll actually make videos and they'll show you how they're using the app so you can really learn. And of course, there's all kinds of app promotion forums and all that. So you really go promote. You can run ads on day one as well. And Steve also shared another really cool strategy, that there's a strategy that's pay to free or whatever you call it. And It's, let's say you have an in-app purchase. Your app is probably free, but let's say you have an in-app purchase. And let's say you make it free for a day or two or a week. Then what happens is you can go and post that promotion on forums. One site you can go to is like appadvice.com, but the real cool element of this is that you have a discount now. Because you have a discount, you're able to go and promote your app on not just app-related discount sites, but all the discount sites that are online. There are so many. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coupon sites online where you can promote. If you have a coupon, a discount, and this gives you a discount. So right away, 5 seconds ago, you didn't have anywhere to promote on day one. Right now, you've got 100 sites you can promote on day one. And how do you find them? Just Google for them. Coupon sites, discount sites, online discounts. Google them. They'll come up like hundreds of results. A lot of them have a lot of traffic, and they're UGC, user-generated content, meaning you can upload your own promotions. You can share your own promotions there. It's amazing. Now let's talk about ads, which is another thing everybody asks about. You need to calculate how much on average you make per download so that you can know how much you can spend getting that download. And starting out, usually app developers, game developers do not make a lot of money from each download, which makes spending really hard. So the way to fix this is two-pronged attack. We're gonna figure out how to monetize each person more and how to make ads cheaper. First, to monetize each person more, retention. The more they use your app, the more ads they're gonna see, the more they might buy your in-app purchases, everything else. Retention, retention, retention. And you can sell more apps of yours. You can even sell other products. You can obviously run more ads, I already mentioned that. But you can sell a lot of things, but as long as your users are engaged. And you have to sell more things because you can't just be happy with monetizing people at a certain small level. Every business, there's a truism in business. It's almost always easier to make more money from existing clients than to find new ones. So if you can expand how you monetize, maybe another paid app or premium, another really effective in-app purchase, or maybe something outside like the app ecosystem, maybe a book, maybe a course, maybe some trainings, maybe something else. There's a million things you can sell. And if you can effectively sell them, that skyrockets your app monetization, meaning you can spend more money on ads. And regarding ads, to make clicks and downloads cheap for you, targeting is absolutely everything. It's really important. Now we think, oh, it's our game. Well, women play games, men play games, teenagers play games, sometimes older people play games. It's everybody plays games. No, for some games or for some apps, the targeting can be so precise so that the question is not who would play games. Obviously, you'd like anybody to play the game. But the question is, who is going to absolutely love the game? Those are the downloaders you want. They'll download at a faster rate. You'll spend less time promoting to them. And wherever you promote, on native ads, on Android and Apple, on Facebook ads, on YouTube ads, on Google ads, they'll realize, hey, some groups, if you're targeting correctly, some groups are clicking and downloading more rapidly, and they'll actually work, those ad systems work to make your ad clicks cheaper if they see that they're reaching the effective people. And then you got cheap ads, monetized more, and then once you're making enough money per download and it's a profitable download, oh my God, you can increase your ad spend like crazy and it's all profitable. And the more you get your downloads, it actually still works to boost you in ASO. And ASO in the app stores for the major keywords is amazing, because then you get the best of all worlds, right? You get your, what do we talk about? Retained users. You get featured in app stores. You get profitable ads you can run, and you can always increase ad spend because it's profitable. And all that is going to work to your ASO. So what happens? You now, all of a sudden, with the right strategies, the most effective strategies, and the right execution of those strategies, that is the key to a 6-figure, 7-figure app. It's easier said than done, yeah, of course, but it's totally possible. So you have to, just last point, you gotta narrow down and experiment on your ads, because most of the time when we choose our targeting, it's sometimes too hopeful. The targeting isn't always right. Even for me now, like when I set up ads, it takes me a while to get the ads and targeting right. So just be patient with it. But long term, it should be the source of your cheap and engaged downloads. So these are the tips from Steve P. Young. They are truly the tips that make the difference between a regular app that struggles and one that really succeeds. Retention and the right market execution, when they all work together, they get you the results that you're hoping for from the very beginning. And if you haven't checked out Steve's work yet, it's App Masters everywhere. On YouTube, search App Masters, and I'll have the links wherever it's possible. But it's so easy. On YouTube, App Masters. On iTunes for the podcast, App Masters. On Google, App Masters. You can't miss them. Check out Steve's work. It's fantastic. You won't regret it, and you'll thank me later.